Kid at my son's birthday party. Asked if he could take his slice of cake home. Instead of eating it. All the other kids were eating theirs. His mom texted me later apologizing. And said he's been saving every treat he gets from school parties. In the freezer because it's the only dessert their family has. And he shares it with his 3 siblings. One bite at a time. My son turned 8 on Saturday. Birthday party at our house. Kids pizza, games cake. One kid stood out. Ethan quiet. Wore clothes that didn't quite fit. Too big. Hand-me-downs probably. Pizza came. Kids grabbed slices. Ethan took one. Ate slowly. Carefully picked off every pepperoni. Saved them on his napkin. My son noticed. Why are you saving those? Later. Ethan folded the napkin, put it in his pocket. Cake time. Brought out the birthday cake. Chocolate. 2 layers. Kids sang. My son blew out candles, cut 12 slices. Handed them out. Kids ate. Frosting everywhere, laughing, talking. Ethan held his plate, stared at the cake. Did eat. You okay? Don't like chocolate. He looked up. I like it. Can I take it home instead? Other kids stopped eating, stared. You want to take it home? If that's okay. I'll eat it later. My son looked confused. Just eat it now. It's cake. Ethan's face went red. I want to save it. Awkward silence. Other kids watching. Of course you can take it home. Let me wrap it. Found a container. Plastic. Good seal. Put a slice inside. Handed it to him. Thank you. He held it carefully, like it was fragile. Party ended. Kids left. Ethan left with his container. Still hadn't eaten anything except 1 slice of pizza. That night, 9:30. Text from a number I didn't recognize. Hi, this is Ethan's mom, Lisa. I'm so sorry about today. Ethan told me he asked to take cake home. I know that was weird. I should explain. Called her. Didn't want to text something this clearly important. She answered, sounded tired. Hi. You don't need to apologize. I do. Other kids probably thought it was strange. Kids don't care. But I'm curious. Why did he want to take it home? She was quiet then. Because it's the only dessert we have. What do you mean? My husband left 6 months ago, Lisa said. Her voice didn't crack, but it had the brittle quality of dry leaves. He cleared the accounts. We lost the house in Claymont. We're in a smaller place now. Transitional housing. I'm working 2 jobs, but with 4 kids. She trailed off, the silence humming on the line. The freezer. I prompted gently. Right, she exhaled. Ethan. He's the oldest. He worries. He noticed that the little ones, Mia, Leo, and baby Sam, weren't getting treats anymore. No ice cream trucks, no birthday cupcakes. So he started the stash. Every time he gets a cookie at school, a bag of chips, or a slice of cake, he wraps it up. He puts it in the freezer. On Friday nights, he thaws it all out and sets up a buffet for his siblings. He tells them it's a party. I felt a physical ache in my chest, a tightening behind my ribs. And the pepperoni? Protein, she whispered. He says Leo needs to grow. I looked through the sliding glass door. My son, Jack, was in the living room, surrounded by a mountain of Lego sets and new video games he'd opened hours ago. The contrast made me feel nauseous. Lisa, I said. I have so much food left over. Pizza. A whole other cake I didn't even cut. Fruit trays. Please. Let me drop it off. I hate waste. I can't ask you to. You aren't asking. I'm asking. My fridge is full. I'll leave it on the porch. No contact. Just, let Ethan have a Friday night buffet on a Tuesday. There was a long pause. Then a soft, defeated, okay, thank you. The address she texted me was for a motel complex on the edge of town, the kind with weekly rates and flickering neon signs. It was only 5 miles from my house, but it might as well have been on Mars. I packed the car. Not just the leftovers. I raided my pantry. Boxes of pasta, jars of sauce, granola bars, apples, 2 gallons of milk. I felt manic, driven by a guilt that felt frantic and sharp. I put the extra cake, a massive chocolate sheet cake, in the passenger seat. When I pulled up to Unit 104, the curtains were drawn tight. I didn't knock. I set the boxes down quietly. I left the cake on top. As I walked back to my car, the door creaked open. Ethan stood there. He wasn't wearing the oversized button-down from the party anymore. He was in a t-shirt that was gray and thin, the collar stretched out. Behind him, the room looked dark, illuminated only by the blue light of a TV. He looked at the boxes. Then he looked at me. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just nodded, a sharp, serious jerk of his chin. It was the nod of a man acknowledging a business transaction, not a child getting a gift. It broke my heart all over again. The next week at school drop-off, I scanned the playground for him. I saw him near the fence, away from the kickball game. He was holding court with 3 smaller children. I recognized the resemblance immediately. The siblings. He was breaking a granola bar, one of the ones I dropped off, into 4 precise pieces. I watched as he gave the biggest piece to a toddler, the next two to a boy and a girl, and kept the smallest, crumbled corner for himself. Hey, a voice said beside me. It was Jack. That's Ethan. I know, I said. He's nice, Jack said, kicking at the mulch. But he's really serious. I asked him if he wanted to come over and play Switch on Friday. He said he has to work. Work? Yeah. He says he helps the super. I did some digging. The super was the maintenance man at the motel. Ethan, 8 years old, was spending his afternoons picking up trash in the parking lot and sweeping the walkways in exchange for the super looking the other way when the rent was a few days late. I couldn't just drop off food again. Charity is a bandage. It doesn't stop the bleeding. And Lisa had pride. If I pushed too hard, she'd cut me off to protect her dignity. I needed a strategy. I found Lisa's number in the school directory again and sent a text. Jack keeps asking for a playdate with Ethan. I know you're busy, but I'm home on Saturdays. I could pick him up? I promised to feed him enough pizza to explode. She took 4 hours to reply. He'd love that. But he doesn't have a booster seat. I have an extra, I lied. I went to Target and bought one 20 minutes later. Saturday came. When I picked Ethan up, the motel room door was open to let in a breeze. Inside it was impeccably clean despite being cramped. 2 mattresses were pushed together on the floor. A hot plate sat on a folding table. Lisa came out, wiping her hands on a rag. She looked younger in the daylight, but the lines around her eyes were deep. Thank you for this, she said, leaning into my window. He grows up too fast here. He needs to just be a boy. He's in good hands, I promised. The car ride was silent until we passed the McDonald's. Ethan's eyes tracked the golden arches until they disappeared. You hungry? I asked. I'm okay, he said quietly. Well, I'm starving. Jack's starving. We're stopping. I bought 3 Happy Meals. Ethan ate his fries one by one, savoring the salt. When he finished his burger, he folded the wrapper into a perfect square and put it in his pocket. Why the wrapper? Jack asked from the back seat. Ethan stiffened. Smells like cheeseburger. Leo likes the smell. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. At my house, the dynamic was strange. Jack wanted to run, jump, and scream. Ethan moved through the house like he was in a museum, afraid to touch the walls. You can relax, bud, I said, putting out a bowl of grapes. Shoes off, feet on the couch, I don't care. He sat on the edge of the sofa. You have a big refrigerator. Yeah. Does it make ice? Like from the door? It does. Want some? He nodded. I gave him a glass of ice water. He drank it, then chewed the ice. It's clear, he marveled. Our ice is white and tastes like the pipe. While the boys played, or rather, while Jack played and Ethan supervised him with the caution of a bomb disposal expert, I went into the garage. I called my husband, Mark. We have to do something, I said. I know, Mark said. He was on a business trip, but I'd filled him in. But we can't adopt them, Sarah. We can't pay their rent forever. I need to get her a job. A real one. She mentioned she used to manage a bakery before the kids. The bakery on 4th is hiring. Asked Dave. I will. When it was time to take Ethan home, I handed him a Tupperware container. Leftover lasagna, I said. And Ethan? He looked up, clutching the container. There's a bag in the trunk. It's not charity. It's payment. For keeping Jack out of trouble today. You're a good influence on him. He opened the bag. Inside was a Lego set, small but new, and 4 McDonald's cheeseburgers I'd bought while they were playing. His eyes filled with tears. He didn't let them fall. He just nodded that sharp, businesslike nod. Thank you. Leo will like the smell. He can eat the burger this time, Ethan. Ethan smiled. It was the first time I'd seen it. It transformed his face, making him look 8 again. Things began to improve, slowly. I got Lisa the interview at the bakery. She crushed it. It wasn't a fortune, but it was steady hours and, importantly, allowed her to bring home day-old bread and pastries. The immediate food insecurity dropped a notch. Ethan started coming over every Saturday. He began to gain a little weight. The hollows under his cheeks filled in. He laughed more. He stopped saving the pepperoni off his pizza, though he still saved dessert. Old habits die hard. Then came November. The text from Lisa came at 2 a.m. The car died. Transmission. I can't get to work. I can't get the kids to school. I don't know what to do. I called her. She was sobbing. I'm going to lose the job, Sarah. If I miss the shift, Dave said he'd replace me. And if I lose the job, we lose the motel room by Tuesday. I'll drive you, I said. It's 4 a.m. start time. I'll be there at 3:45. For 3 weeks, I was their taxi service. I drove Lisa to the bakery, came back, got the kids, drove them to school, and picked them up. It was exhausting. My own work suffered. My house got messy. Mark came home and asked why there were 4 car seats in the SUV. But we were holding the line. Just barely. Then the landlord of the motel changed. The new owner didn't like long-termers. He raised the weekly rate by $100. It broke the math. I sat at Lisa's small table in the motel room. The air was thick with the smell of mildew and anxiety. We have to move to the shelter, Lisa said, staring at her hands. It's 3 towns over. The kids will have to change schools. No, I said. Ethan finally made friends. He's doing well. I have no choice. I have $40 to my name, Sarah. She slammed her hand on the table. I am trying so hard, but the water keeps rising. Ethan was sitting on the bed, pretending to read, but I saw his shoulders shaking. I went home and paced my kitchen. I looked at the granite countertops. I looked at the calendar. Ethan's birthday was next week. He was turning 9. He hadn't mentioned it. Not once. I had an idea. It was crazy, it was invasive. And it might ruin everything. I posted on our neighborhood Facebook group. Neighbors. I have a friend. She's a single mom, hardworking, works at the bakery we all love. She's hit a wall. She needs a rental. A small one. Something under market rate. She has 4 great kids. The oldest, Ethan, is best friends with my Jack. If we lose them, our community loses something good. Who has a garage apartment? A basement unit? I didn't use names. I didn't use photos. The comments rolled in. Mostly thoughts and prayers. A few. Why doesn't she move to a cheaper state? Then, a private message from Mr. Henderson. The old grump who lived on the corner and yelled at kids for walking on his lawn. My daughter's old apartment above the carriage house. It's been empty for 2 years. I use it for storage. It's got a kitchen and 2 bedrooms. If she can clean it out, she can have it for $600 a month. But no loud music. $600. That was half the motel rate. I called Lisa. Can you clean? I can scrub the paint off the walls if I have to. Moving day was a covert operation. We didn't want Ethan to know until it was done. We told him and the siblings they were coming to my house for a sleepover. While the kids watched movies at my place, Mark, Lisa, and I, along with a surprisingly spry Mr. Henderson, hauled boxes. We moved the mattresses. We scrubbed the carriage house. It was dusty, but it had windows that let in the sun. It had a real kitchen. It had a backyard. Mr. Henderson stood in the doorway, leaning on his cane. I had a grandkid, he grunted. Died young. Would have been about that boy's age. He pointed to a dusty bicycle in the corner of the garage. Tires are flat, but the frame is good. If the boy wants it. I cried. I couldn't help it. When we brought the kids over, it was dark. Ethan held Leo's hand. Lisa opened the door. Welcome home, she whispered. Ethan walked in. He looked at the stove. He looked at the fridge, a full-sized one which I had stocked. He looked at the bedrooms. There were beds. Real beds with frames, donated by another neighbor. He didn't cry. He walked to the fridge, opened the freezer, and put his hand inside. It works, he asked. It works, I said. And look. I opened the bottom drawer. It was full of ice cream sandwiches. A whole box. For later, he asked. For now, I said. For whenever you want. Ethan looked at his mom. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Ethan grabbed the box. He ripped it open. He handed one to Mia, one to Leo, one to Sam. Then he took one for himself. He took a bite. He didn't save it. He ate the whole thing, chocolate sticking to his fingers. Stability is a funny thing. You think it's a finish line, but it's actually a tightrope. 2 years passed. We were in the good times. Lisa was the manager at the bakery now. Ethan was 11, Jack was 11. They were inseparable. Ethan had filled out. He played soccer. He was still serious, still the protector, but the shadows were gone. Then the storm came. Not a metaphor. A literal storm. A massive nor'easter slammed into the coast. Power lines down everywhere. Trees snapping like matchsticks. Mr. Henderson's carriage house was sturdy, but the old oak tree in the backyard wasn't. I was at home when the call came. 11 p.m. The wind was howling so loud I could barely hear Lisa. Sarah. The tree. It came through the roof. It's in the boys' bedroom. Are they okay? I screamed. Ethan. I can't find Ethan. The roof collapsed on his bed. I didn't think. I grabbed my keys. Mark tried to stop me. You can't drive in this. Get the truck. I yelled. We drove through the horizontal rain. The streets were blacked out. Debris littered the road. When we got to Mr. Henderson's, the scene was a nightmare. The massive oak had sliced through the second floor of the carriage house like a knife through cake. Rain was pouring into the open wound of the building. Lisa was outside screaming, clutching the 3 little ones. Mr. Henderson was trying to hold her back from running inside. Ethan, she wailed. He was in the top bunk. Mark kicked the door in. We ran up the stairs. The boys' bedroom was a tangle of wet drywall, insulation, and branches. Ethan. I screamed. Here. A muffled voice. We dug. We threw aside chunks of ceiling. We found him. He wasn't in the bed. He was under it. He was curled in a ball, shielding his brother Leo. Wait. Leo was outside with Lisa. I looked closer. He wasn't shielding Leo. He was shielding a box. A shoebox. Ethan, are you hurt? Mark grabbed him, pulling him out of the wreckage. He was bleeding from a gash on his forehead, but he was moving. He clutched the shoebox to his chest like it contained the crown jewels. I got it, Ethan gasped, coughing up drywall dust. I got the stash. We got them out. We got them to the hospital. Ethan needed 6 stitches, but he was fine. Later, in the ER waiting room, I sat with him. He was wrapped in a blanket, still holding the shoebox. Ethan, I said gently, why did you go back for that box? You could have died. He looked at me, his eyes dark and old again. He opened the lid. Inside wasn't food. Not anymore. It was money. Wads of $1 bills. 5s. 10s. Rolled up tight. There must have been $3,000 in there. What is this? I whispered. I shovel driveways, he said. I mow lawns. I walk dogs. I saved my lunch money. Why? For the next time, he said. Mom always says we're okay now. But I know. The bad times always come back. I wanted to be ready. I wanted to pay for the motel. I stared at this 11-year-old boy who had never really stopped being the soldier in the trenches. He hadn't trusted the peace. And he was right. The tree fell. The house was ruined. You don't have to pay for a motel, Ethan, I said, pulling him into a hug. You're coming to us. The house was condemned. They lost everything again. Furniture, clothes, the beds we had found for them. Lisa was despondent. I can't do this again, Sarah. I just can't. I'm tired. But this time, it wasn't just me. Mr. Henderson had homeowner's insurance. He called me the next day. I'm an old man, he said. I don't need a carriage house. And I don't need the payout money. What are you saying? I'm rebuilding it. But not as a rental. I'm signing the deed over to Lisa. It'll take 6 months to fix, but when it's done, it's hers. No rent. Just taxes. Mr. Henderson, why? Because that boy shoveled my walk every time it snowed and never asked for a dime, he grumbled. And because he reminds me of my grandson. We didn't tell Lisa immediately. We waited until the construction was done. For 6 months, the chaotic family of 5 lived in our basement. It was loud. It was messy. It was wonderful. Ethan and Jack built a fort that took up the entire living room. On Ethan's 12th birthday, the house was ready. We threw a party. A block party. The whole neighborhood came. The people who had donated beds. The people who bought bread from Lisa. The teachers who knew Ethan's story. We stood in front of the rebuilt carriage house. It was beautiful. New siding, a strong roof, no oak tree. Mr. Henderson handed Lisa the keys. It's paid for, he said gruffly. Don't thank me. Just make me a pie. Lisa collapsed. She fell to her knees in the grass, sobbing. Not the dry, brittle sobs of the motel, but the deep, heaving sobs of relief. Ethan stood by her. He put his hand on her shoulder. I walked over to him. I was holding a plate. Ethan, I said. He looked at me. Cake. It was a slice of chocolate cake. Double fudge. He looked at the house. He looked at his mom, who was finally truly safe. He looked at the shoebox of money he still kept under his bed at my house. Money that would now go to college, not survival. He looked at the cake. Can I take it home? He asked, a twinkle in his eye. You are home, I said. He smiled. He took the plate. He picked up the fork. And right there, surrounded by everyone who loved him, he took a bite. It's good, he said. I think I'll have another. Epilogue, 10 years later. The valedictorian speech is usually boring. But the auditorium was silent when Ethan walked to the podium. He was tall now, 6'2", wearing a gown that fit perfectly. He was going to Stanford on a full ride. He adjusted the microphone. He looked out into the crowd. He found Lisa, sitting in the front row next to Mr. Henderson, who was 92 and refused to die until he saw this. He found me and Mark. He found Jack. When I was 8, Ethan began. I thought love was a frozen piece of pepperoni. The crowd laughed nervously. I thought love was saving the good things for later, because now is always dangerous. I thought survival meant making yourself small, making your needs disappear. He paused. But I learned that love isn't about rationing. It's about abundance. It's about a plastic container of lasagna. It's about a community that rebuilds a roof. It's about a friend who buys you a happy meal and lets you sit in silence. He looked directly at me. I learned that you don't have to save the cake. You can eat it. Because tomorrow, there will be more. Because we make sure there is more. He raised his hand. In it, he held a small, crumpled napkin. I kept this, he said, from my first birthday party at Jack's house. I kept it to remind me of the day I learned I was allowed to want things. He tossed the napkin into the air. It fluttered down to the stage. Thank you, he said. Now let's go eat. The applause was deafening. But I barely heard it. I was too busy watching Lisa. She wasn't crying. She was beaming. She looked at me and mouthed 2 words. We made it. And we had. We really had.